my last one. My last one.
I've got one as well. So, I've got the first time we sent out the festival glasses to everyone as well. So it's got the little logo on it. Cool. First time I've used it this weekend. So yeah, it's fantastic. So thanks again for joining us. It's a really exciting session, I think. Now we've got a bit of a double header. The beer that we're drinking is the Clear Head, which is brewed by Bristol Beer Factory, and it's in collaboration. They've come together to brew it with Talk Club. So yeah, really interesting. More than kind of just a beer. There's a good story behind it, and yeah, so we're going to hear a little bit about that this afternoon. If you have any questions, just whack them in the chat on the YouTube page. Just chat amongst yourselves and let us know what you're thinking of the beer. And if you've got any questions, just shout up in there. So firstly, I'll just introduce the guys. We've got Sam and Ben. So Sam is from Bristol Beer Factory. Do you just want to introduce yourself quickly to us, Sam?
Hi guys. Yeah, I'm Sam Burrows. I'm one of the directors at Bristol Beer Factory, and I work very closely with Ben on this project. So we're looking forward to introducing Clear Head to you guys.
Nice one. And Ben, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yes, so I'm Ben Akers. I'm one of the 6 founders of Talk Club. We were founded in Bristol. We were founded in the tap room behind. There's a big. We've put up a big mural on the side of the wall. We were founded just behind there, and Sam was a big sort of a big influence and a big help and a big sort of force for getting Talk Club moving. So we're over the moon to be doing Clear Head with him, really.
Nice. Oh yeah. Well, I look forward to hearing a little bit more about Talk Club later, and I'm sure it will come up when we talk about the beer as well. But Sam, do you want to just talk us a little bit about the beer itself, how it came about, and just a little bit more about the beer itself?
Well, yeah, Clear Head started. Well, Clear Head is Ben and his team's sort of invention, and once Ben and I had met, and we started helping them out with space for them to sort of host their Talk Club meetings, and the first ones were held at the brewery. Ben came to me with an idea. Do you want to do an alcohol-free beer? And I just went, no. I don't think, no, we got no idea. It's hard enough for a normal beer. So we had no idea if we had the kit, skills, all these sort of things. And then he said, well, I've got a really good name for it, Clear Head. Without a doubt, it's a brilliant name for the beer, for the style of beer. And then he sort of brought it up again, and I was like, well, I keep saying no, but I might actually ask a question now within our team. So Tristan Hembro, who's our head brewer, is an extremely talented young man, sort of said to Tris, look, what do you reckon? So he had no idea either. So he sought some advice, and we got a bit of help. Guy came down to see us, done some work with Dark Star and a few other breweries, and done a load of work on brewing techniques for brewing lows and no's. So he said, yeah, you guys will be able to do it. There'll be a lot of trial and error at the start. I think we poured about 4 or 5 brews down the drain in the process of starting that. So it all sort of started in 2019. I think Ben put more pressure on me in January 2020. I think March, we did a brew. And then we did another one quite soon after, and I wouldn't even let them taste it. They were like, is it ready to taste? Down the drain, pal, they're gone. You're not trying them. And then we had a bit of a break and changed a few things around. And then it was World Mental Health Week in September 2020. So we did a brew in that August, which we were really pleased with. Sort of unfiltered, unpasteurized, just straight off the bat, and we kegged that. So we put it into our pubs and our sort of friendly pubs around Bristol, and did a bit of a campaign with the university and Talk Club. all around students coming back and well-being and
nice.
stuff like that, all around that. So that's when it sort of came alive, really. You know, it was, the brand was there, as in, you know, the yellow and the blue and what the brand looks like on draft around the city, which was great. And then finally we got, when did we go live? We've got the 3rd of December, I think. We sort of launched the final sort of the packaged product version, which is sterile filtered. And we use a quite, I mean, I'm no brewer, believe me. But what I know about the brewing techniques is we use like a restricted mash profile, and that sort of limits the enzymatic capacity in the mash. And then we have to use a different yeast strain that will go along and work with that.
Okay, yeah.
And then we treat the beer as we would any other pale ale or sort of IPA or whatever it might be. So that's, if anyone on here gives me a technical question, I will bat them away with a smile.
That sounds about right. I think you've answered it there. I think that's right. So I guess this is, I guess, to Ben, I suppose. Was it always important that the beer was alcohol free? Like, obviously you used the Bristol Beer Factory tap room. Was it important that it was going to be an alcohol free beer?
It had to. The whole idea was an alcohol-free beer. It had to be alcohol-free, and the thing was that what we do is Talk Club is for every man over the age of 18, and it's about mental fitness, right? So what we do is it's about like the way that you would use a gym, just look after your physical fitness. Talk Club is about preventing mental illness, preventing suicide, because where it all came from, and we know about but we love pubs. Blokes love pubs. But we know about the problem with pubs with alcohol and depression. So so I've been drinking AS for a while, because I've got 3 kids under 8 and I can't handle hangovers anymore. And then when we sort of like when Neil, one of the other co-founders, come up with the name of Clear Head, and we went, okay, look, I'm going to go to Sam, and as Sam said, he said no. And the difference is that I've never taken no for an answer. So it's sort of, we went round, we talked to a lot of other people in the way that we were trying to do it. And I was going, well, if they can do it, why can't BBF do it? I don't understand this. So I came back to Sam and I went, look, please, I want you to make this for us, because you are really important to us. We love your beer. We know that you'll make a killer AF. And we want you to, because you're so important to the fabric of Talk Club. Is there a way you can do it? Like, we were sort of saying, if you haven't got the equipment, how much do you need? Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, that was because it wasn't, the way that we work isn't just about a product. It's actually about a community, about relationships, about people. So so when he sort of said yes, and the bit, I mean, as Sam says it, the beer was born in lockdown, and it was sort of when the whole of the alcohol and the hospitality world is in this insecure world. These guys were sort of like, okay, well, we need to do some R&D here. We're going to invest in some R&D. And as he said, I kept on asking him, can I try it? And he's like, nah. But he goes, it'll taste brilliant. I promise you, it'll taste great, because we trust Twist. And then, and we're just sort of, since it came out, we've been blown away. Not just by the liquid and the products and what it is, but the fact is that we're a tiny charity. We got charity status yesterday. So
I saw. That's amazing. Yeah, congratulations.
So we've been going 2 years. We're a tiny group of people who have now Talk Clubs up to 2,000 men around the world, and Sam and Clear Head and all the boys and girls across at Bristol Beer Factory have got this logo into sort of already into 13 or 14,000 people's hands.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and it really is, and we sort of like we really. He knows this. I keep on thanking him every time I see him.
Yeah.
We do love you guys across there and all the stuff that they're doing for I think men's mental health.
That's it. That's exactly it. And it's like, it is the raising awareness, isn't it? It's not just it's not just another beer. There's a purpose behind it, and like you say, it's got your name on it. It's got your details on it. I don't know anybody that I've spoken to who hasn't looked into what Talk Club is as a result of getting this beer. So I guess what you say about your sessions and things that you were doing at the tap room. What does that entail? Like, what does it mean to be like a member of Talk Club? What would that?
Well, the talk club's really it's so simple. In fact, it's too simple. Like, the thing is, right, so the question we ask, and the question that begins every session, and the question we ask to ourselves every day is, how are you out of 10, right? Because basically where it comes from is that most people don't actually look after themselves well enough in their brains, right? They might look after their physical fitness a bit better, or they might eat healthily, and especially when it comes to alcohol consumption, you're sort of like, this is a good beer,
yeah,
that's doing good, right? But what we found is that if you just we've got this thing, a lot of awareness is really, really good, and don't get me wrong, we love mental health awareness, but when it comes down to mental health action, when someone turns around and goes like, how are you? And you go, oh yeah, I'm all right. But then if you turn around and go, look, how are you really? And you go, well, okay, well, I don't know. I'm not feeling great today. I feel a bit rubbish. COVID's kicking in, and my job's a little. Now, how are you out of 10? And suddenly, what you can do is you can actually just bring that down to a number. And we say one man's 5 is another man's 8. But what happens is that you're actually asked to think, and you're actually asked to sort of own your feelings there and then, and own how you feel. And then what you can do is, what's great about it is you can go. You sort of like go, okay, I'm a 5. Now, why are you a 5? And it's just started a conversation. So Talk Club is literally the way that a Talk Club would exist in pubs and sports clubs and stuff like that all over the country, all over the world, is normally sort of a group of 6 to 8 men sit in a circle, and the captain who runs the group is sort of like someone who has been trained by us, very, very simple training on how to get people talking and how to look after people in a room. And then it will just be one, but he'll start and it'll just go around and be respectful, your number out of 10. Then you'll just sort of say why you're that number. Then you'll go about what you're grateful for, what you're happy about. And normally I sort of go, I'm feeling a bit down or feeling a bit wound up by my kids. And then what I'm grateful for is my kids. So I know how silly that thing sounds. And then you go, how are you going to look after your mental fitness that week, which is the great bit, because you go, you're learning skills from peer to peer.
Yeah.
And then you just do your checkout number. And in 2 years that we've been going, and in the over 1,000 clubs that we've had, club sessions, I've seen one number go down, right? From your check-in number to your checkout number. And I know exactly who that person was. And I know exactly why that number went down, because they were feeling they actually had to open up on something that was bigger than the room.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, because it's just like you go to the gym and you have this, you sort of the thing where you feel the adrenaline kicking in as you leave. And that's what you get out of Talk Club. You get these, you're in masculine environments, you're in pubs, you're in sort of gyms, you're in sports clubs, places that blokes know and blokes feel comfortable. And you just talk. And it's just simple.
And I think, and it's something that for so many years has never been done. Like you say, people have had to mask their feelings. How you doing? I'm all right, like you said. And it's great that you've given people a safe space, a platform to be able to actually, say, actually, no, I'm not doing all right today. I'm actually feeling a bit shitty, and I want to talk about it. And it's amazing that you're giving people the opportunity to do that.
But that's okay. I mean, like that's the thing. The most important thing about Talk Club is that it's not about mental illness. It's about mental fitness. So what you do is you go, like, for example, yesterday I was probably running at a 6, and a 6 is not good for me. I don't need to be committed. I don't need to be sort of like running off to the doctor to get some pills for a cyst. But because I like to exist around an 8 out of 10. But I was having a pretty down day. We have down days. Yeah. When our physical fitness, we sort of like, my knees hurting. You have these things. And it's sort of like, so I think that I think we almost, as blokes especially, because we've never spoke this foreign language called feelings, we need to sort of understand a lot more that going, it's okay to sort of just feel a bit crappy for a couple of days.
Yeah.
As long as you own it, as long as where you are. And then what you can do is, the way I do stuff is I go like, okay, I'm a 6. How do I get myself to a 7? How do I get myself to an 8? I go out, I ring a mate, or now, as of next week, I can go out and have a beer with them. And it's so important to just like own how you're feeling, really.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. And I work as a primary school teacher, and it's the stuff that for so long in schools we just haven't been teaching the young children how to own your feelings, and it's something that we work really hard on now in primary school, because otherwise you have no way of dealing with it. You have no way of voicing your feelings or even thinking about them. So yeah, I think it's really important. And now, I mean, I'm doing it for the next generation. You're doing it for the current generation, and it's so needed. Sam, do you want to just tell us a little bit about the brewery, and then I'll come back to you in a sec, Ben, to tell us a bit about the documentary and that. But Sam, if you want to just tell us a bit about the brewery, how it all started. When I remember when I would have been probably early 2011, 2012, when the craft beer boom started going, and Bristol Beer Factory was a real big, part of that. I think you were around a little bit before that, but a mainstay in the bottle shops, I think. When did it all begin?
So it all began back in 2004. Fellow sort of directors, the two founders were a guy called George Ferguson and Simon Bartlett. And the area of Bristol where we're based, sort of Bedminster, Southville, had a lot of rundown sort of areas, and George bought this old building which used to be Ashton Gate Brewery. So it's been brewing on site since the early 1800s. So it's a really old sort of brewing site, and it had been shut. It was Ashton Gate Brewery, then George's bought the brewery in the 1930s, and they bought the brewery mainly for their 150 pubs, and brewing ceased before the Second World War. And then the next people to brew there were us in 2004. So George had bought the building, was really keen to resurrect brewing into South Bristol. At the time, there wasn't a brewery in Bristol. There was Smiles, and then Bristol Beer Factory, and then Arbor started just after. You had Bath Ales, who were in Bristol, sort of outskirts of Bristol, and Buckham, the outskirts of Bristol. But there was nothing in the city, nothing like what it is now. And then Simon worked for Briggs, who were an brewery engineering company, saw the advert, wanted to move back to Bristol, and him and George joined forces in 2004 and started Bristol Beer Factory, and it sort of came from there. Where we are now, still in the last fermentation tower of the Ashton Gate Brewery. And then sort of they made quite traditional cask beers, an amber, an English pale, and then they stumbled across the milk stout recipe that was originally brewed there at Ashton Gate. And that was probably the first sort of turning point for the business. I think it was 2007, 2008, it won the Camera Winter Beer Festival. And that sort of resurrecting that sort of historic style of beer. And, our milk stout is the one that everyone compares milk stout to. It's a great place to be. And then in 2010, 2011, we sort of invested in, we had some new brewers come in, a bit of some energy, some youth. We had an American guy called Brett Ellis, who's the head brewer and one of the co-founders of Wild Beer. Really instrumental in bringing in the sort of the hop. Like Independence and Southwell hop were born then. I joined the brewery, it was about 10 years ago now, 10 years ago this August, to help out with a bit of direction with sales and distribution and marketing, and just trying to, we could make great beer. We had no idea how to put it anywhere or sell it or work with it. So, and then really from then, we've just gone from strength to strength. And organically. We made some poor decisions in the past, and we haven't gone racing out of the gate and gone in, haven't gone massive or anything like that, but we've just grown at a nice level and stick to our roots. And it's all about Bristol.
I think
we've got our core values of what we want from beers, and Clear Head is exactly what we wanted from all of our beers. We want a beer that you can pick up, enjoy multiple 3s and 4s and 5s of them.
Definitely.
There's so many beers out there that just taste great for a half. And you're done. I love trying those beers myself, but for us, we like that sessionability factor and that side of it. And being involved. Well, I owe Ben a lot really for driving us to do this AF, because I think this will be the biggest brand in our business.
And is it so? It's going to be sort of scaled up. It's going to be available, part of the sort of core range.
Yeah, well, 100%. It's part of our core range, and it's only this week that we've been allowed to really go for it. It's been a creation of COVID, of COVID life, and we had a little bit of a spell last summer, but Clear Head wasn't really alive then. We just, as I said, we just done that sort of the keg run of it. We launched it in December when we were in lockdown. So it's just been really available online and into our local bottle shops. Yeah. And it's done really well. We've got 25,000 bottles are about to come back next week of fresh stuff. Nice. And the big thing for us now is to drive draft. Yeah. Draft Clear Head and give AFs, lows and no's a place on the bar. Yeah. Because they need to be right forefront and centre. Pubs desperately need to attract younger people into pubs. Yeah. That younger generation aren't consuming alcohol like us or me, especially. And it's those offerings, they're getting better and better. The real leaders on a Big Drop are on after us. They've been phenomenally successful. Brewdog success and alcohol free, driving the category, creating a beer that makes you feel part of the theatre of being into the pub, going out on a Tuesday, watching Bristol City lose, but having a beer and feeling part of it. Definitely. I think that's where AFs have fallen down. And I think that's why they're in 330ml. And I think we are planning, we're going to can it. And I think we really want to move it for 440 because the beer's great. It's phenomenal, and it deserves to be where every other beer is. Definitely. That inclusiveness, that we're not just palming it off into a 330. I know why they do 30s, but let's bring it up and let's get it pouring in pints and in big cans. I think it's very similar to like, as Ben said before about kind of the there is still a bit of a stigma of when you go to the pub, and if you're not having a pint, then there is a little bit of that, especially if you're with a group of your mates, and you're like, if you don't have a pint, there's a bit of a stigma with that. Still, I think we're getting beyond it. We're starting to normalise it a bit, but if it's on draft, suddenly that completely goes, and everybody is drinking a pint of beer, and you're doing exactly the same thing you've done for your whole life with your mates, and it just feels completely normal. And personally, I've been out and seen it, like you say, with Big Drop, they've had it on draft, and it just completely changes how you feel with drinking it. It changes the people around you. Nobody's thinking about kind of what you're drinking, but it's just, as the drinker, you're in your own head, I guess, and it's just to have it on draft. So do you think, I know you said you had it locally, do you think that'll be something that you'll look to be rolling out locally quite soon, hopefully? Very soon, yeah. I mean, our new canning line arrives in 10 days, something like that, very soon. And as soon as we start producing Clear Head for packaged, for can, I mean, we'll keep the bottle. We've just been listed with the Lounge, the Lounges group. Okay. Suburban cafe bar group. There's 140 sites. They're all nice. All in small, just in normal towns. They're not inside the M25. There's they were born and bred in Bristol. Their first site's just up the road from the brewery. It's a really nice story. We've done loads of work with them over the last sort of 15, 16 years. And they're Bristol guys, they're great people. They're expanding all over the country into suburban areas, and they are a perfect fit.
Will that be the bottles or the draft?
So that's going to be on bottle with them to start with, but we're hoping that they will become talk club venues.
Nice.
Help grow it. And this is the beauty of us having these conversations is there's nothing like it. You can go and have a conversation with a multiple pub group, and it's, what can you do for us? How much money are you going to give us?
Yeah.
And, how much does it cost? It's just a commercial agreement. This is a partnership and a three-way partnership between us, the customer, talk club, and then the consumer. So it's a bigger thing than that again. And that's quite a unique way to go and do business at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's so nice having those conversations. They're so positive, and everyone fully understands how much mental fitness really means to people, because this last year has just told us everything that we need, isn't it? It's been such an eye-opener. So it's really, I get carried away. I'm really excited about the future. I really, really want to drive draft, because I don't think anyone really, there's a few people that are going to go at it. The Big Drop's doing really well, but there's no one in our neck of the woods. And I think if we can be at the forefront of that, and then, we'll start doing some other, we've got some NPD in for some alcohol-free other beers that we have in our range as well.
That's it. Oh, that's really exciting. Super. Yeah, I think you're right. Like, not only sort of being at home for the last year in lockdown, but also I think there's going to be the idea of now going back into the real world is going to be hard for people as well after such a long period of being at home. So, yeah, there's never been a better time to sort of have these open conversations and really think about how you're feeling. So Ben, just to finish us off, where can we sort of find out more information? Like if we want to know a bit more about Talk Club, what's the best thing to do?
So go to wetalkclub.com, and on there is where we are currently up to. We've got, I think we've got 52 current clubs around the world. We've just created, in the last week, we've created Abergavenny and Silicon Valley. We've got sort of,
linked.
Exactly. We've got sort of, it's amazing when you sort of see, like there was just a note put on the group from the Singapore group going, "I'm here. This is the table we're at tonight, lads." And you just this table in the middle of the Singapore, and you sit there and you go, "This is just amazing." There's
going to be people there tonight who are all going to get something from that.
Yeah, and it's just and the thing is, I think what we found is that, like, the reason why alcohol free was so important to us is because it's about respect. It's about respect for you in the pub, and you respect. What I really feel that the Clear Head does is it respects alcohol free beer. It respects you as a man to sit there and go, you're not inadequate because you decide not to drink tonight, right? And I've been out when people have gone to me. I've been drinking it when we had it on draft, and I was drinking it, and I said try that. And back in the day before COVID, when you could try someone else's drink, and it was like, and I sort of said that's an AF, and he was like, no, it's not. And you started having this argument over whether it's an AF or not. And I think that's the whole point of this is it's about men looking after themselves, men looking after men, and about being sort of supportive of each other. And I think that what's really interesting is just the response that we've had almost from especially from the AF community is going, it's about being respectful and looking after and going, look, there's nothing, you're still 1,000% a man just because you talk about your feelings and you drink AF beer.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're more likely to be around longer. So that's just sort of like,
and you're more likely to be around, or you're more likely to be able to talk as well. You're not going to be slurring your words after half an hour. So and lastly, you mentioned it at the start. We were looking at your art behind you, and you've got the poster up there for Steve. Could you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, this all came from that. So basically, Steve was my childhood best friend who sadly took his own life. And my reaction to that after 3 years of coming to terms with the grief and lots of therapy was that I needed to do something. So I decided that I read an article that's saying that men of my age watch films, well, sport and documentaries. So I was like, okay, so I need to make a documentary. So that's what I did. I crowdfunded this film and I made a film called Steve. So you can watch it at stevedocumentary.com. But what was interesting about it was that when I was chatting to my friend this is before Talk Club even came about, I was talking to my friend who runs Mind here in Bristol. And I said to him, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tour the film. I'm going to go to pubs. I'm going to go to clubs. I'm going to go to, I did 3, before the lockdown, I did 49 screenings. I'm looking at my wall now. I did everywhere from the Ministry of Defence to 3 prisons. I did everywhere from Aberdeen to Falmouth. And I went there, I watched the film with them. I sat there and then we had an open conversation afterwards. And what was really important to me as well was that I did 10 of these ones with Brewdog. Brewdog paid for me to pay for my travel to go to and use their venues for 10 of them. And I sort of said, I need you to have an AF on tap. And it was really, really good of them, and they were really great to support me on that. And it was amazing because you sit there and you go, you chat away with these men, and they suddenly they're standing there cradling their pint, and suddenly when you've shown your vulnerability on the screen and talked about how something like this affects you, they start opening up and they start sort of talking. And then from there, we launched Talk Club 2 years ago at the premiere of Steve here in Bristol, and it's just gone from strength to strength. Both of them have, and we're starting a new film looking at the mental health of kids. So exactly as you were saying, I didn't know you were a primary school teacher, but we're working. We're going to be, the idea is to work with schools, and we're going to create something that's like a younger version of Talk Club.
Oh, amazing! Well, yeah, if you need anyone to trial that, let me know.
Yeah, I will do.
That's amazing. Well, thank you both so much. Like, it's such an amazing story. Like, the work that you're both doing is it's incredible. And the comments in the video and the stream now have just been great to see, and everyone's just so appreciative of what you're doing. So huge thank you for coming on and talking more about it. Yeah, just massively appreciate it. So thank you so much, guys.
Very welcome. Yeah.
Cheers, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
And you enjoy the rest of the festival, everyone.
Cheers. Thank you. Take care. Thank you.